Hello everyone, welcome to this video. This video will be on Vedic multiplication, which is part of the Numbers in Cultures series, as part of the activities we'll be doing in this quarter. So we'll be looking at multiplication done or developed by the Vedic culture, which is like North India. I have sort of a map detailing sort of the Vedic region during the late Vedic period. Again, it's a good idea to talk about some of the cultures if you do some research and maybe have some conversation with your students around some of the things that maybe we've discussed in coaching, sort of exploring, different ideas, right? And you can see my previous video for some more, talking about that stuff. But I got some pictures here. Let's jump right into the math. So we're going to be multiplying two numbers. This is the page out of the student workbook that you'll be looking at. And there's not a whole bunch of explanations to how this works on this page. So we're going to sort of go into the nitty-gritty about how we're supposed to multiply these two numbers. I'll give something away right off the bat, which is, when is this method useful? The answer is this method is useful when you're trying to multiply two numbers that are right underneath a power of 10. So like something in the 90s is really good to multiply together with this method. Something right under 1,000, so like 998 times 971, for example. Those would be good to multiply using this method. And we'll kind of see why. So let's go ahead and just give it a whirl. Let's go ahead and do 8 times 7. So the first step is you want to write the two numbers that you've got in these left top boxes right there, 8 and 7. And I've got a screenshot here of the teaching guide, 10 out of 10. I recommend you look at that and read it if you're still confused. So you do 8 and 7 in those left boxes. Okay, and now you ask yourself, how far away from these are they from the next power of 10 up, right? So 10 is the next power of 10 above 8 and 7. So 8 is 2 away from 10. Its deficit is 2. And 7 has a deficit of 3 because 7 plus 3 equals 10. Okay. Now, there are two lines that are going on here, and they're to remind you sort of what to do here. So the red diagonal line across here, that's telling you that you need to subtract those two numbers. So I want to do 8 minus 3, which gets me 5. Okay. The other line is this little green line here. That's to reminding you to multiply those two numbers together. So 2 times 3 gets you 6. And then, in the end, what do? You put these two together. You get 56, which I believe is the correct answer. You do 8 times 7, the sort of Western way. Now, it's 56 because the closest power of 10 we're doing is 10. So this 5 here is sort of in the 10 slot. And this 6 here is in the 1 slot. So that's why we get 50 plus 6, 56. Okay, let's try this with maybe some bigger numbers. Let's take a look at 96 times 90. So again, our two numbers go here, 96 and 90 in those top left boxes. And we write down their deficits. Now, the biggest power of 10 that's right above both of these numbers is 100. So we write down their deficits from 100. So 96 requires 4 more to get to 100, and 90 requires 10. So those are their deficits. Okay, red line means subtract. So we have 96 minus 10, that gets me 86. And the green line means multiply, that gets me 4 times 10, which is 40. And now, because we are doing the deficits from 100, this 86 is in the hundreds category. So it's like 8600. So I would write that as like 86, 0, 0, 100 plus what's in the ones category is 40. That gets me 8640. Which if you do this in a calculator, that's the number you get. I'm pretty sure I checked before the video. But that's why we're just concatenating. That's why we're just putting 86 and then 40 next to each other. It's because secretly it's like 86 is in the hundreds position. There's some subtleties that can go on. Like, this is really good for things that are close to powers of 10, because if you're far away from a power of 10, it makes the method a little complicated. So I've sort of done one here, and you can see it's a little bit messy. If I want to do 32 times 4, both of these are far away from a power of 10. Like the next power of 10 that's bigger than both of these things is 100 again. So we have really big deficits, like 68 and 96, huge. We still proceed the same way, right? So 32 minus 96, that gets me negative 64. And if you do 68 times 96, you get 6,528. And then, okay, now you have this 64 is in the hundreds position, so you subtract away 64 hundreds from this instead of adding it because it's negative, and then you get 128, which is the answer. So you can see that this gets really complicated when you're far away from power of 10, because honestly, doing 68 times 96 is harder than just doing 32 times 4. But it's still good to know what subtleties arise and how to do this in a case when the method isn't quite great, because your students will probably want to do this, and it is good to know the ins and outs.